For nearly a decade, she made her way across Flathead Lake as the largest and most opulent boat to sail its waters. With 4 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a cost of more than $200,000 in today's currency, the Kiyomi was a sight to behold in the late 1920s and into the 1930s. One fateful afternoon in May 1937, a fire sent her to the bottom of Summers Bay in less than an hour, where she still sits today, 86 years later. After decades of searches and speculation, the resting place of the Kiyomi was found beneath nearly 50 feet of water in Summers Bay by Jody Baker and Jay Barth of the Northwest Dive and Recovery Service in 2016. Today, the Flathead Maritime Archeology Project is in a race to document and map the site before it is changed forever. As recorded in the Daily Interlake in March of 1928, the boat was built at the J.W. Swanson Boat Works east of town during that winter for Kalispell business partners John Sherman and Bert Salling, the owners of Kalispell's Buick dealership, Kalispell Motor Sales. Oddly enough, the boat was not purchased using profits from their car dealership. Sherman and Salling had profited from an unusual trade to Lee Kerr, a stock promoter, swapping an automobile for shares of stock in Kalispell Kevin oil fields. The dividends were well beyond all speculation, and the partnership invested their gains to build their new pleasure boat. The Kiyomi featured a large lounge, dining room, kitchen, 4 staterooms, and was the first houseboat on Flathead Lake. At 54 feet in length with an 18-foot beam, the Kiyomi is in some sources cited as the largest boat on Flathead Lake at the time. Launched into the Flathead River near the Still Bridge east of Kalispell before a crowd of more than 1,000 onlookers in May of 1928, the top deck of the Kiyomi included an 18 by 40-foot general lounging space that would go on to host countless parties on the lake over the next 9 years. With power furnished by twin 80-horsepower Buick Master 6 engines, the Interlake reported that the boat was not intended as a fast boat, but it was easily able to make 10 to 12 miles per hour, which it said was comparable to the speeds of the Klondike and other passenger craft on the lake at the time. What the newspaper described as a handsome and comfortable little ship would make its way into the Interlake's pages several times over the next decade, each time a report of some lavish party featuring a variety of guests from the Copper Kings of Anaconda to local lawyers and school teachers and more. The windy afternoon of Wednesday, May 12, 1937, was warmer than usual. At 63 degrees, it was 13 degrees above average when Sherman and Salling decided to take the newly refurbished Kiyomi out for its first cruise of the season. It had been an interesting week, news-wise. Just 6 days earlier, the German passenger airship Hindenburg had caught fire while attempting to dock at Lakehurst Naval Air Station in New Jersey, killing 36 people. Earlier on the day of May 12th, the coronation of King George VI had been held at Westminster Abbey in London. For Sherman and Salling, the afternoon was to include a routine shakedown cruise of their houseboat to kick off the season, but that plan would soon turn to disaster. According to a Daily Interlake article the following day, it was shortly after 5 p.m. when Sherman first noticed smoke coming up from beneath the floor in several places and called out to Salling, the only other person on the boat. When the pair opened the engine room, they found a fire so hot that they instantly knew that any hopes of saving their boat were futile. Within 3 minutes of opening that door, the entire boat was ablaze. The men made their escape with the use of a small lifeboat and could only watch as the Kiyomi burned to the waterline in 20 minutes. The Summers Lumber Company tugboat Paul Bunyan rescued the 2 men from their lifeboat and towed the burning Kiyomi away from the docks and into the bay, where she sank less than 30 minutes later. Luckily, the boat's 300-gallon main gas tank failed to explode before the ship sank, but 3 smaller emergency tanks did erupt, sending flames out more than 100 feet from the burning ship. In another stroke of luck, the blaze happened with just 2 men aboard. The event would have been much more disastrous a week later, when Sherman's daughter Betty was scheduled to take a group of her college sorority sisters on an outing aboard the boat. Today, several artifacts have been recovered from the Kiyomi's wreck and now reside in the Northwest Montana History Museum in Kalispell. From the ship's anchor, which is on display, to numerous recently cataloged smaller artifacts currently in storage, the history of the Kiyomi is being recorded as items from the wreck, such as the boat's propeller, have already gone missing. With multiple dives on the Kiyomi already this season, the Flathead Maritime Archeology Project is working hard to preserve the boat's history while it still can.